This is New Day on Signature TV. It's Sunday, the 12th of January 2025. So today we're going to be just taking a look at what has happened throughout the week. On Monday, apparently, some major economic policies that shaped 2024 with Dr. Stan Ukeje was discussed. For those who missed it, here is how it went.
The impact of the changes made by government since 2023 is still with us, and in some instances intensifying in an adverse sense. Private people, firms and households have been adjusting, but the room for adjustment is limited because inflation has been with us for a while. Unemployment has been with us for a while. Low production has been with us for a while. So the savings for the households and companies or firms is low. So the adjustment is painful. People are adjusting by dropping certain things. If you were buying a load of water for 13,000 naira 3 years ago, and you are now asked to pay 50,000, water is an essential, so you may have to drop changing your dress, traveling in order to have water. So those are drastic changes, very, very drastic, and the prospects for adjustment or containment doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, some of the reasons why some Nigerians think that the government might be a little bit insensitive is, when these policies are rolled out, everybody knows where this is headed. I mean, when you remove oil subsidy, things are going to go up. There were promises of cushioning the effect of the so-called policy, but it does look like it was a deliberate effort or deliberate policy to impoverish Nigerians, even though on one hand they say they now free monies in order to do other things. Do you think those Nigerians are justified with those thoughts?
Two things I will call your attention to. There's a Chinese wisdom that says that a time of crisis is a time of opportunity. So some of these crises are opportunity for people. So the people who instigate it have something to benefit. So they go ahead. Secondly, there's a professor of economics, Professor Tinubu. He said, when you want to evaluate a public official, identify the people they are afraid of. If you want to evaluate a public official, check who he or she is afraid of. In most countries that we try to copy, we call them advanced countries, politicians or public officials are afraid of public opinion, which can show in elections. But here, they are neither afraid of public opinion nor believe that they can be elected, they can be thrown out of office. So they have no fear, and therefore they do what they like. So that is the simple situation in which we are, because if public opinion mattered, you will be watching out for where the public is tending for the next election. Of course, somebody may decide to lose on the basis of principle that I believe that this is the correct thing, regardless of what the public thinks. Maybe eventually the public will come to know what somebody like Jimmy Carter was, somebody whose lifestyle was influenced by Christianity. When the Iranians attacked the U.S. embassy he could have used nuclear weapons. He could have invaded them massively, but he didn't do that. He tried to negotiate with them. When warmongers around him persuaded him to mount a military operation, it was a limited operation. Unfortunately, it failed, but he took it like a Christian and continued his life. People who voted for him voted against him in the second round, in his re-election But he was glad to lose because he didn't want to do certain things that are against his ethics.
Do you think that could, repeat itself in 2027?
Well, in Nigeria, you don't have such people. I think Nnamdi Azikiwe was a man that was well brought up. He may not call him a Christian in the type of banal sense, but he is philosophically equipped. Jonathan was that kind of person, maybe because he came from a very small group and therefore had nobody to fight for him. Or he was thrown into politics by circumstances beyond his control. So he didn't think that he had, power. Like he said, I would rather nobody die for me to be in office. But some people will think that the whole people can die and they remain in office. And that's why when you elect people to offices, they convert it to power. But what the Constitution creates is office for performance of duties. But those who acquire it turn it to power to insist that they remain there and prevent others from ever nearing that office.
President Tinubu's visit to Enugu State with Barrister Chukwunonso Ogbe stating.
Anyway, to some of us, we are not excited with the fact that the president visited Enugu State because the visit of Mr. President is what I would refer to as one of the ceremonial activities conventionally carried out by presidents in time past in this country, because we have what we refer to as the exclusive legislative list and then the concurrent list in the Nigerian Constitution, in which case the federal government is expected to carry into force the provisions of the exclusive legislative list for the benefit of the Nigerian people, while the governments of the various federating units are expected to carry into force the provisions of the concurrent and residual legislative list. Having said that, Mr. President came to Enugu State to commission projects allegedly executed by the government of Enugu State. I was thinking that while doing that, Mr. President should have also concurrently commissioned projects executed by the federal government for the benefit of the people of Enugu State, being projects that ordinarily should fall within the ambit of the exclusive legislative list. Because Mr. President became the president of this country in 2023, and here we are in 2025. And in a few weeks' time, he must have spent 2 years in office. So I thought that by now that the president should be telling us that so and so projects which he commissioned, that they be perfectly in order, or that they will be in the right state for public use, maybe from the month of May 2025. But that was not to be the case. He came to commission the projects executed by the government of Enugu State under the watch of the current governor of the state. So to some of us, it does not excite. With due respect, Mr. President's visit to a great extent began to be a ceremonial exercise because he came to see things for himself. He came to commission the projects executed by the head of the executive arm of government in Enugu State. So it should have been a very wonderful outing had it been that while commissioning the projects executed by the government of Enugu State, he also will concurrently commission the projects executed for the benefit of Enugu people by the federal government of Nigeria, and that never happened, to the best of my knowledge. Okay.
You sound really disappointed about the commissioning of this project that were executed by the present governor of Enugu State. The promises that he had made about the security, the railways, the Anambra State, Anambra Basin, there's so many promises he had made. Do you agree with those promises? Do they seem like something that can actually come out in the near future?
Promises to me should be made during campaigns, and when the business of governance must have taken off, then additional promises could be made in addendum to the ones earlier made. During electioneering campaigns, the candidates are expected to tell the people what they want to do for them. And then when they are given the opportunity to prove their merit leadership-wise, they will now embark on lines of action geared towards fulfilling the promises made. And in the course of doing that, you will now say that when I came to Enugu in 2023, I promised to do so and so thing. Now I have done that, or I'm already on it. I'm pleading with the people to give me some time that before the end of my tenure in office, I will be able to complete some and so projects, and that with the support of the people, I will also do some and so things. I also intend to execute some and so projects. Now, having said that, I thought about security. Interestingly, the government of Enugu State, from what we are told, purchased some vehicles for the purpose of enhancing the security architecture of the state. And to the best of my knowledge, as far as security is concerned, security of lives and property, which is one of the basic responsibilities of the Nigeria Police Force, is under the control of the federal government. We know as a fact that, going by the same provisions of the Nigerian Constitution, that the governor is the chief security officer of the state, in which case there's nothing wrong with the governor, making available facilities that will help improve the security situation of his state. But I thought Mr. President should have been the one to, take care of the provision of facilities and infrastructure for the Nigerian Police Force or any other security agency in the state, for the purpose of seeing to it that they carry out their duties in a more professional manner. And just the same way the federal government at times do reimburse state governors who execute infrastructural projects for the benefit of their people, the funds expended in the course of carrying out such projects. Maybe Mr. President will have said, Enugu state government, you have tried in providing vehicles for the police. I'm going to liaise with the necessary authorities when I get back to Abuja to reimburse the funds that have been spent in procuring these vehicles, so that the governor can now use same for the purposes of executing other projects for the benefit of Enugu people. That never happened. He talked about the Blue Rail Line. Under the watch of former President Muhammadu Buhari, I think the Southeast geopolitical zone was, was skinned out as far as that particular facet of transportation is concerned. I thought that the current president will have deemed that to be an emergency in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of giving the people of the Southeast a sense of belonging. As I speak, to the best of my knowledge, that is not the case. And with the amendments to the Nigerian Constitution effected of late, both the states, federating states, and the federal government now wield concurrent powers over railway. So I thought that before now, that Mr. President, and possibly while working hand in glove with the government of Enugu State, headed by the governor of Enugu State, should have done something tangible or should have embarked on reasonable line of action before now.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.